5 minutes ago? Oh, you want to see? Oh, you want people to see you walking across the room? Is that it? See? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the February 19th meeting of the Board of Selectmen in the Town of Wareham and the Sewer Commissioners. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Chairman, 3 selectmen are present. Mr. Slavin, Mr. Holmes, and Mrs. Winslow, as well as the Town Administrator, Mr. Sullivan.
It should be noted that Mr. Titlebaum is out of the country.
Mr. Titlebaum is out of the country.
He's coming back, just not in time for the meeting. Okay. Any announcements?
Okay, we have Wareham's Coffee Hour, a chance to have a coffee break and chat with interesting guests. This week will be Angel Rodriguez, who has an interesting resume, the captain of the Wareham Vikings football team, male cheerleader on an all-female squad, except for one. 9 a.m. Thursday, February 21st, 2013, room 225 of the Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham. That would be the building that we are in right now. And we also have a reminder about the gift card collection this Friday at Eastern Bank, Main Street, Wareham, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is for the Wareham Hurricane Coalition. We are collecting gift cards for Guyon Rescue, which is a grassroots effort serving the people on a community on Staten Island that was devastated by Hurricane Sandy, and they need everything to rebuild, restore, and refurbish their homes. If you're following them on Facebook, you saw the post today that they've removed all the outhouses now, and they're trying to get in everybody's homes and get the plumbing up and running. So they're making progress, but they have great needs. The coalition is asking for cards from Lowe's, Home Depot. That would be for things like sheetrock, nails, paint, windows, window treatments. They're also looking for Target, Walmart, Home Goods, JCPenney, TJ Maxx, for things like bed linens, blankets, and kitchen. And if we all remember, just a little over a week ago, as the community was paralyzed by a snowstorm and we had no lights, no heat, many of us had no phone, no cable, no internet, there were lots of us posting from our smartphones about how annoying that was. Remember, this storm occurred at the end of October. These folks have gone a long time with nothing, so let's see what we can do to help them out. The Hurricane Coalition will also be participating with WCTV as one of the benefiters of the WCTV annual auction in May. There will be representatives from Guyon Rescue to come to Wareham and be at the auction. They're also looking for donations for that as well. You can contact Sandy Slavin, Angela Dunham, or Eleanor from the Onset Bay Association, Eleanor Martin, for those. That's all I have, Mr. Slavin.
Again, on that particular Friday, it's going to be from, again, 11 to 1 p.m. We'll have at least one selectman will be there, as well as people from this group sitting at the bank. We also will take checks, cash, and whatever else you have available. There's also a note from Lieutenant Walchek about NSTAR. I'm not sure who had experiences, but I thought we had a pretty spectacular participation from NSTAR getting power back, considering the amount of outages and what we had compared to last time around. I would mention that the people out of Quebec in particular were, I think there was 8 to 12 trucks, and they really did an excellent job. If anyone wants to write a letter thanking them, they can address it to Mr. Thomas May, 1 NSTAR Way, that's N-S-T-A-R Way, Westwood, Mass, 02040. And if there's people that you'd like to thank, that's a good way to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So that brings us to our next agenda item, which would be citizens' participation.
Would anyone like to speak in front of the board? Mr. Barrows, come right on up.
My name is Gerald Barrows. All I want to know is how we're making out with that $210,000 that the water department's supposed to pay the town. Are we making any headway?
We the most I can say about it is that legal counsel is dealing with it at this moment. I can't. We should have more information for you real soon,
Yeah.
because we're all as concerned about that as you
No,
are.
'cause I was just wondering now, since the town did that work for them, would that be put on the betterment for the people?
Now, they've already explained to us that 210 was not included in that total dollar value for the betterment fee. I think I read the other day there were some comments from the water department where the director expressed dismay that we haven't been paid. So I think there's several of us that, you have a road open. They ask us to do them a favor by having the contractor just do the work while the road's open. The same guy's in the hole, and now they refuse to pay. I don't want to disparage the whole water district because I don't believe that to be the case. But Mr. Bowen is on it with Mr. Sullivan, and hopefully we'll have an answer here in the next week or so. It's a lot of money,
No, I just want to know.
and we've spent the money. We had to pay the contractor to do that work.
I want the town to get reimbursed.
That's right. Yep. We agree with you. You're welcome. Anyone else? Full crowd tonight. Okay.
Okay. Consent agenda, authorization to sign bills and documents. We have none. Appointment and/or interview for the Council on Aging Board of Directors. We have an application from Maria Galemo, and
She might be working today. She works at the YMCA.
okay, we don't have a recommendation from the COA either.
I think we got something in the packet today. There was a note.
Yeah, I see a note there from the chairman that says we have a meeting on February 7th. We'll email you later. Is that what you got?
What we have is a note about 3 of the members with some attendance issues for us to look at, which is not in the agenda, so.
Well, what's the pleasure of the board? Would we want to ask Mrs. Galimo to come back another night? This term is only good through June 30th of 2014, and I saw that note myself, and I know they're having some issues getting some people to attend the meeting. So,
No, I would appoint her.
okay,
And help them to get
I move.
their committee in order.
I move to appoint Maria Galimo to the Council on Aging Board of Directors for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2014.
Second.
Motion made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Congratulations. Please, the office will notify Maria to go by and get sworn in and to do that. Okay.
Okay, we also have an application for the Conservation Commission. And this application is from Joseph Mulkern.
That's the previous one. We have another one that came in, I believe, in the paperwork today for Joseph Leggett, also recommended by the Conservation Commission from Conservation Officer, Mr. Bichette.
Okay, how many openings do we have?
There's one opening as of right now.
So if we have 2 people, did we get a... So we have a recommendation.
Oh, it's from February 3rd. Not from today.
No, this is from the 19th.
It was done, I think, on the 3rd, and the paperwork didn't come.
Yeah,
from
the
Bichette
application
till
was
19th.
done on the 3rd.
Yeah.
Right.
Whose application?
Mr. Leggett.
Okay.
Janice Wilson, you are invited to the Board of Selectmen's meeting on February 19th, which is today.
All right.
Mr. Leggett here?
Yep.
Oh, Mr. Leggett, would you come on up?
They didn't write an appointment sheet for Mr. Leggett, so we'll have to sign that next week. But the recommendation is to appoint the associate member,
It's
Joe
right here.
Leggett.
So you got they put it on both sides of the paper.
Not in this folder. In the
Leggett.
official folder. Yeah, no, I have that in my, but in the official folder, they didn't give us a sheet to sign for Mr. Leggett.
I think it's in the packet. Good evening, Joe. How are you?
I'm fine. How's everybody?
Good. Would you take a minute and just introduce yourself and explain why you're interested in serving on the Open Space Committee?
I'm Joseph Leggett.
We're talking about the Conservation Committee.
I think I'm here for both.
He's here for both.
I don't know. I found the paperwork here for the conservation.
Oh,
All right. Why don't you talk about the conservation group first, and then we'll talk about open space.
Actually, on the conservation, I'm associate member right now, and Joe Mulkern is too. And I believe that what they want is to have the board decide to move one forward. Anyways, I don't think it was one over the other. It's move one because we're having problems getting quorums quite a few times.
And Mr. Westgate also,
Doug passed away a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
he passed away in June. Peter's on that. All right, any questions for Mr. Leggett
None for me.
and the board?
I don't
Winslow?
have any questions. But the letter that we have from the Conservation Commission says, at its last meeting on February 6, 2013, the Conservation Commission unanimously voted to recommend the appointment of Associate Member Joe Leggett to full voting member of the Conservation Commission, as there is still a vacant full voting member position. Thank you in advance for considering this matter. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint Mr. Leggett to a full voting member position on the Conservation Commission to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 300.
Joe, they didn't give us an official sheet for you, so next week we'll have it, and you can do the needful.
Sure.
Okay. We
It's on the
also...
Conservation Commission.
That's for the Conservation Commission. We also have an application from Mr. Leggett for the Open Space Committee.
Yeah.
And for this committee, we have 3 vacancies currently. And the committee has voted on this?
No.
No.
Says here that they were unable to vote because of quorum issues.
Although I cannot speak for the committee since we have voted on this appointment, must be since we have not, there must be a word missing. Please consider appointing Joe.
Okay.
So we have quorum issues with this also.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any questions for Mr. Leggett on this
Mr.
application.
No, I believe Mr. Leggett's been actually been at some of the meetings for both.
No, I was supposed to go to one Monday, but that
Okay.
was canceled
You haven't
because of
been
the weather.
you haven't been to any beforehand?
No, actually I went to a CPC meeting, I want to say close to 4 weeks ago,
Okay.
with questions, and then it had to do with being able to use CPA funds for open space use, recreation, and stuff like that. And I asked a few questions, and they told me about the openings on that board.
Okay. You understand what the Open Space Committee does and everything?
I got a good handle on it, but I'm still reading up on it,
All right,
what
thank
they've
you.
done past.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Chairman?
I do not.
Okay, then I will move to appoint Mr. Leggett to the Open Space Committee to a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2016.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes 3-0-0. Congratulations, Mr. Leggett. You're
Thank
going to
you.
be a busy man.
That's what I was just
Thank
thinking.
you very much for giving your time to volunteer for the committees. It's
Mr. Leggett
greatly
also
appreciated.
is a long-term resident of Wareham. We appreciate you,
Few years.
more than a few. We appreciate you
Okay,
taking
have a
the
good
time.
night.
All right, Joe.
Thank
you.
you. Okay, next we have the approval of meeting minutes of February 5th, 2013. I move to approve the minutes for the February 5th meeting as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
2-0-1.
I have to sign that.
You have to, can you hand those to Mr. Slavin, please? Then we have the approval of the meeting minutes of February 12th. I move to approve the minutes of the Selectmen Sewer Commissioners meeting of February 12th as written.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 3-0-0.
Okay, nothing under licenses and permits, under
Nope.
sewer business, funding source for contract 2. Do we have anything new on that?
The only thing I have new on that, I spoke to Mr. Campina today, and he really didn't have anything on here, so I told him he didn't have to drag himself out of the house. The only thing that's new here, I think, is that he's setting up a meeting with Mike, the congressman's aide, right? He mentioned it to him after our last meeting here, that, hey, federal level, maybe there's something we can sit down and talk about it, and Mike seemed interested, so I know he's in the process of setting that up. I did ask him that when you get that, if you could let us know. There might be one or two of us that might be interested in attending. Right?
It would be good if we could set up a time frame of somewhere around the 5th of March or something to start the actual determination. The issue that I have is this might require a town meeting vote, actually, when it comes time to appropriate the money.
So I think the target is November, right?
I think so, unless the town administrator has put something else as a placeholder.
No, we didn't put a placeholder in the town meetings right now, and I did hear back from Mike there. He called me, so we've had some good responsiveness from him.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, it's, if we can get a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, maybe we can take care of this easier than we think.
Okay, any other sewer business? None. Moving on to town business, we have the preliminary discussion on department submitted warrant articles. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, well, I think Alan, did you put this on here?
No, I think that was just put on there just so we would get
Yeah.
a list of what came in, because we had a February 15th deadline for the department warrant articles to come in.
Right.
And it's just a matter of us going ahead and scheduling people to come in to talk to us about these articles.
Now, we talked about this a month or so ago, and I think that the feeling was that if we could schedule something in combination with the Finance Committee, that we could do them all at once
Correct.
instead of duplicating efforts and having people try to have two meetings instead of one meeting, and then some could make it on a Tuesday, some couldn't. So what I was thinking was we could ask Mrs. Barank if they would like to do that. And if the answer is yes, then maybe even I don't know, the easiest way maybe to do like a Saturday morning. That's what I was thinking. Just sit here for 3
Yeah.
hours and do them, right?
I can also do a Thursday or a Friday during the day, if
Yeah, whatever works.
as
Yeah,
long
if
as it's
the-
early in the day.
Now, are most of these from department heads? I just got this, so I haven't gone through it, to be
That was-
honest with you.
34 articles, not that many are from department heads.
They're not.
Maybe a dozen or so on there. Most of them are the routine articles that we have every year for the spring.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of placeholders on the special. So, we don't, I would say if you gave everybody probably a half hour on there. Yeah, we're looking at maybe an all-day event if you want to.
A half hour. They don't need a half hour to explain their articles. I'm thinking more like 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
And we have a morning to get it done would be fine. Take about 3 hours at the most.
So what do you guys want to do?
As I said, if we can get everybody together on a Saturday, I think that's a great way to do it, because then we can.
We did that once before. It worked out pretty well.
It does work out well, yeah.
Why don't I call Mrs. Bronk in the morning?
See what you can schedule.
Because the second part of that is we also have to set a meeting up with her to replace tomorrow night's meeting, because this holiday thing,
What
it's
holiday?
a government holiday Monday. It was a government holiday Monday.
Oh,
Yesterday. Did you have to work?
we were actually closed, but my boss is in from another country, so I did work because lots of work
I
to
forget
get done.
these sometimes, man. I'll take a slap for it. I do forget these sometimes because, we worked.
Yeah,
So
we
I
worked.
didn't get a chance to put that meeting for tomorrow night on the
Okay.
agenda.
Well, that's good to know.
So, yeah, because I had it. You had answered me back, and Alan had answered me on Friday. So I figured I'd just call Shirley over, and Monday was a holiday, so it would have had to have been done by Thursday night. Thursday
Oh,
afternoon.
okay.
So we did not get our meeting for tomorrow night at 6.
Okay. So you'll work on getting us
So
Saturday?
I'll work on two things. Is Rich or Joe Emerson coming in next Tuesday? Do you know?
I don't
Anything
know.
planned?
I don't think we have anything planned.
Planned? Anything planned
Me?
that you know of?
Do I have plans?
For next Tuesday's executive. I may ask her if they want to meet Tuesday at 6 if we don't have
Okay.
the executive. You know of anything?
No.
The only thing I know that's cooking is Mr. Barros's request on that 210 if Rich has an answer. Well, we could do that. We could do the meeting with the Finance Committee and then do the regular meeting, and we could sit with Rich on that 210 afterwards,
It's a
because I
public
don't think it would
discussion.
take long, right?
No,
So if that comes up next week, we can fit that in.
I don't believe the town council's gonna have an answer for that either, at this point.
Well, I'm always hopeful. All right, and then, and you want me to ask her about the Saturday?
Yeah, it would
I would
make
think
life a
we
lot,
need to do it like next week or the week after, right?
as soon as possible, make life a lot easier if people coming before us have both boards, because it's only one presentation.
Yeah, I mean,
Because last year we had issues with, I think it was Sage Power, man on the wind turbine, and if I remember right, the finance committee never got to speak to them because it was just disjointed.
yeah, we had some people who made it here.
It didn't make it there.
It didn't make it there, and then we had some people who went to the finance meeting
Never came.
and couldn't make it on the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I think if we give them a week's notice and tell them Saturday morning, come in, we won't keep you here all day, and we can set this place up and just get it done.
Yeah, because we can vote at a subsequent meeting. I'll vote for the actual articles at that time.
If we have both boards, we might even be able to use maybe the cafeteria, so we're all spread out.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that we could set up the square table like we're going to do for that
After.
for the after action review.
Yeah.
We'll set up the square table. It'd be us, the finance committee, and it's only a couple of people from committees who come in. Some of those people might be able to handle 2 or 3 articles, I'm sure.
I think the town administrator will have a bulk of them because they're really coming through you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch from in municipal maintenance and harbor master, the bulk of it.
Works for me.
Do you have to pay those people to come in on a Saturday to this meeting? You?
The department heads.
Department heads know.
Department heads, no.
No.
Not the department heads.
Oh.
no.
We don't pay you to come in on a Saturday. How's the wife doing before we start booking these meetings?
She's doing well.
It's close.
What's the date?
That's February 22nd.
Oh,
Friday.
How
yeah,
can
we
you
wanna have
forget?
this- yeah,
222.
22nd. Oh, that's Friday.
Yeah.
Oh,
Saturday be
oh,
fun.
you can come in on a Saturday. That's no problem.
Bring the baby.
She can- she
Your
can-
mother's here, right?
She can
Oh,
text
your mother's
message you.
here?
My mother's, over on the Cape. She'll be coming up.
There you go. Somebody will cover for 3 hours.
Yeah, she can text him. Things
She'll
get,
hate
things-
me. All right, let's do that then.
Okay.
I'll try to get her for Tuesday night to
That's
do the meeting about the budget, and then We'll shoot for next Saturday to do the workshop and get the articles done all at once.
Okay.
And then we could even vote on them either Saturday or the following Tuesday,
Follow me.
right?
We should vote separately.
And then we'll be within our timeline. Tuesday at 6 for the budget. And Saturday. Or, you know what, if they want, we could actually do both meetings on Saturday, couldn't we? We could meet like 8:30 to 9 on the budget, and then from 9 on do the articles,
Let's see what they say.
right?
Either way.
That way we're only tying them up once.
Derek's looking a little nervous. I think he's going to be in trouble when he gets home tonight.
Nah, she's a good sport. Okay,
All right, we have.
I think I got that covered, right?
Good. I think we have the discussion of board policies.
Yes, I'm going to be sending out the email. Mr. Titlebaum's not here, so
Okay.
we can move that to next week.
Okay.
When is the, when are we doing the, while we're talking about dates, is the after action on the 26th?
February 26th.
So that's next week, next
week.
Tuesday. Is
Yes,
the
sir.
chief going to be ready, Mr. Ethier?
Yeah, I've spoken to all of them, including Mr. Ethier, Mr. Gifford.
Gifford,
They'll
Mr.
all be
Campina.
ready. I think, I'm trying to remember, one person's going to be out of town, but will send us a report on there.
All right.
So we have their input, and I've invited the fire chiefs as well on there. And if they're not able to attend, I've asked if they could just give us a brief memo or statement on it.
Okay.
The chief's going to be coming before us next week or the week after on the new implementation of a project that he has.
I think he was hoping the week after
Okay.
that.
I think it's important in the timing of those presentations that the people hear what our police went through last week before they hear about a strategic plan. To give people a strategic plan and say, oh, you know, the town's broke, we don't have any money, and there's 37 excuses why we can't do any of it. I think people need to know what took place here over that 4 or 5 day period, and then present to them a strategic plan of how we go about fixing that, because there's a lot of things that are broken, quite frankly. And when it comes to public safety, there were some things that we would fail real bad on a report card in terms of public safety, breaking down equipment, the generator. There's a lot of things there that I think people need to know about. People don't understand what happened here in this town. And we would solicit any public commentary for next week. I know that I had several emails during the storm, conversations with some residents who had some issues, legitimate concerns. They had communications with the NSTARS and the Comcast people, and I think it's important that stuff get into our record as well. And I did invite them to write something up and send it to me and to give to you as part of the record. But if citizens want to come in next Tuesday night, we'll probably get that started about 7:30, 7:45, because we got the regular stuff we have to do at 7. And feel free to come in, and it's not going to be a finger pointing, yelling at the police or the fire people, or it's not going to get out of control. But we do solicit your information. Our department heads need to hear, and Mr. Sullivan would love to hear your input. If you can't make it, email Mr. Sullivan, email members of the board with your comments, and we'll make sure that they get included as part of the record. But I think this is it's going to be a good meeting. I think the chief had asked about MEMA. They may even send a rep from MEMA. I told them to run that stuff through you. That's up to you whether you want them to be part of that meeting or not. But I know we had a great deal of interaction with them. So it should be a real educational session for all of us. Okay. Anything else?
I don't
Mr.
know.
Sullivan.
Any other town business not reasonably anticipated? No? Okay. Mr. Sullivan, your turn.
I think the only thing I would say is if you see a DPW worker, they're going to look tired. Buy them a cup of coffee. They went out again all weekend and for the plowing, and we're probably looking at this weekend coming up, plowing again. So we're going to take a significant hit on our snow and ice this year. Several, 100,000 over what we've budgeted. And it's not stopping anytime soon. The one good thing is that's a legal deficit that the DOR allows. So I know it's frustrating for people, but every time I see the snow, I just see dollar signs. So I'm not happy to see it either.
Is there anything that you look at that doesn't equal dollar signs to you, Mr. Sullivan?
Not right now.
Well, I mean, we do file, some people wonder why we do that whole state of emergency thing. And one of the reasons we do it is it has to be legitimate, obviously, and last weekend was. But, it's our attempt to let the state know that, hey, we got a problem here, and hopefully the department heads, Mr. Campina, Mr. Gifford, Mr. Ethier, and others, they have to keep track of hours that are used during that period of a state of emergency. And then Mr. Sullivan puts into the state and federal government for reimbursement. We've gotten a lot of dollars back over the last few years in reimbursement, luckily, but it's because we took the steps to do that. So I know that you're doing that again for last week, and hopefully we won't have to declare that kind of thing this week, although I heard the lady on Fox News this morning, I don't want to scare anybody, but she called it a monster storm. Did you hear that this morning?
I'm hoping
It made me cringe.
I'm hoping we go back to the usual cycle where they say it's a monster, it's 2 inches of snow.
Well, they've been pretty good at the last couple. They were right on.
But on that point, I'd spoken to Mr. Meehan from the DOR, and one of the first questions he asked was, did the Board of Selectmen declare an emergency? And they were happy that we did that. Yep. So.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
I learned about that from Mrs. Winslow, by the way, who frantically chased me during the hurricane.
Well, you know how I learned about it was when Mrs. Donahue was chairman, and we had Hurricane Earl coming in, and she had sent out an email, remember, explaining the process.
I was in New York, yeah.
You were in New York, so you may not have seen it, but the process for declaring a state of emergency. The following year, we had Hurricane Irene coming up the coast, and Mr. Cruz was chair, and I told him about the email, and so he did the same, and then, yeah, you almost didn't declare an emergency for Sandy.
I've had to do it twice.
Twice. They only got to do it once. See, you're special, Mr. Chair. May I ask,
Maybe
Mr.
Saturday we'll break a record and do it 3 times.
Three times is the charm.
That's not funny.
I am planning on a road trip to hunt down that rodent that predicted an early spring. May I ask Mr. Sullivan a question?
Sure, absolutely.
How are we doing on our list for those thank you letters from the board?
Where the one from NSTAR was the first one, and we're getting the rest from the department heads. So.
Okay. But are they giving us contact information for like Hydro-Quebec and...
No, the NSTAR had requested that we send it directly to their president on there, and that it follows their channels. And I think it's the best that could happen for Hydro-Quebec. It's going to come from their own president and such.
And
so.
we've been assured that the communication is going to get that far?
That was what we received from NSTAR. That was the
Okay.
best way to do it, and it would go through the proper channels.
Okay.
And I think they'll receive not only our congrats, but their own company will also be behind that. And I think that's the best thing we could do for those people.
Okay. Because I have all the letters drafted. I just need the info, so if someone could email that as soon as it's all put together.
The NSTAR ones I sent out today. So if
You emailed it?
Yes.
Okay. I haven't checked my email, so
No, that's
my boss works me hard. Okay, now we're up to, if that's...
hang on one more second. Mr. Sullivan, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of give us an update? I saw the email on the Schedule A's.
Yes.
If you would update the townspeople now on where we're at with that process with the DOR. I think people would like to know what progress you're making with it. I know you're working very closely with the DOR almost daily to correct or upgrade some of the deficiencies in the finance department.
Right.
I'll leave it general like that, okay? So if you could just kind of update the board and the folks on where we're at on some of those fronts, and especially the Schedule A.
Yeah, the Schedule A is important. If you do not complete the Schedule A, they can withhold your state aid. We will get that accomplished by, I believe, March 15th is our personal deadline. The DOR's is closer to the end of March. And if you didn't have that, and if that wasn't completed, again, they could withhold your state aid. That's something that in the past I think 2010, that actually never was accomplished on there, and we were able to get through it because of the issues with that year. So every year we're trying to upgrade it. The staff has been working diligently on it. It's a tough thing to say. We had an independent contractor working on it, and they had a personal tragedy of a fire, and we were actually set back a few weeks because of that, which is one of the issues. But we're on time, and accounting is going above and beyond to get that done. We'll get it done in time. So.
Great.
In
I do have the email.
okay.
Thank you. I just hadn't looked.
A follow-up question, since I also mentioned the deficiencies. One of the questions we keep hearing about is, reconciliation. See, unfortunately, we have a slow agenda tonight, so you're on. Can you update us as to where we're at in terms of reconciliation in that department?
These are all part of the town administrator's report.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's part of his report. We can ask questions. We're not having a discussion. I'm asking a question.
Oh,
It's all right.
we do.
He's
have,
tough. He can take it.
We do have December's revenue and expenditure reports coming out. Should be by tomorrow, so I'll send it to the Board of Selectmen. The reconciliations are being done for the first time between the treasurer's office and the accountant's office. Before, it was just the treasurer's office doing it to the bank accounts. Now we have them working together. There's a lot of the reconciliations is a big part, where in the past they did it essentially at the end of the year. So now we're doing it and catching up and making sure that's being done during the year, and that saves a lot of headaches. At the end of the year, you know where you stand, you know cash has been reconciled, the receivables, all those, and that's going to make us closing the books at the end of the year much, much easier. And I know I've only been here a few years, but it's the first time I've seen this being done. So.
Outstanding. See, if he takes the hint, right, when he does his report, he'll just freely give those things, and I won't have to ask him.
I understand.
Right? Anything else? Mr. Slavin, you have any questions of Mr. Sullivan?
No, Mr. Sullivan had given us the 2014 budget, and I would hope that in a report coming up that we will discuss with him the actual budget itself with questions that we should be supplying to Mr. Sullivan to, again, provide guidance and policy for him going forward.
This week we're going to have the first budget amendment. We usually, there can be dozens during the year, but rather than every time there's a slight little change on there, I usually wait till we have the main amendments on there. So we'll get that updated one going out for the board to review and for the finance committee to review as well. Thank you.
In our dashboard report, I haven't seen one in a few weeks. I know you've been busy with the blizzard, but that should be something you can push a button and get, right? A nice little dashboard report that tells us where we're at here in February 19th.
For the
We saw one in January. I was just wondering when the one in February is coming out.
for the revenues and expenditures.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For
That-
January.
yeah. That's the December one's going to be out this week.
Oh, this
Usually
week. Okay.
They're running about 45 days behind usually.
All right.
on them.
Just checking, because I enjoy reading that to see where everybody's at. And I know you've assured me that all the people that are over are going to be even come June 30th.
I did make that promise.
Okay. And I know that you've passed that along because I've heard it.
Good. Well, I'm glad I got back to you. That
You did.
taking
Take it
the
back.
steps. So.
Anything else? Anything else you want to add?
Oh, that's it for right now.
I'm good.
Very good.
Liaison reports.
Mr. Slavin?
No.
Wow. Mr. Holmes.
No, I just have to go in and sign the. I think I missed it. I'll have to go in the morning and sign. Did they put the Cedar grant in your packet?
No, they did not,
I
sir.
have to go in and sign that.
Yep.
I
You'll have to get a ride.
Yeah.
Well, I have a
What's the-
liaison report.
Oh, good. We're happy.
I want to thank the Friends of the Wareham Free Library who put on, once again, a spectacular mini golf tournament on Sunday. Despite the weather, it was pretty busy. Mr. Holmes was there. I saw Mr. Slavin come in as I was leaving. That was his second time. We had, for the first time in my life, I ate a hot dog cooked in a crock pot, and I have to admit that
They were right. Mr. McDonald, your hot dogs were outstanding.
they were outstanding. I have never had a slow-cooked hot
I
dog.
hope Dolores isn't watching because I'm not supposed to be eating those, you know.
Yeah, you probably weren't supposed to be eating those cupcakes either.
All the cupcakes, Mrs.
Every one of my cupcakes sold. And so we don't have the final numbers in yet, but the preliminary numbers look like they raised a good sum of money. So we're excited, and as soon as we get that final number from the treasurer, we'll announce it here. So we had the Friends of the Wareham Free Library. We had the chairman of the Library Board of Trustees, Megan Singleton, and Liz McDonald, who also serves on that committee, worked really hard on that and did an excellent job. The mini golf holes were fun. Everybody was having a great time. So, oh, and Frosty made an appearance too, which was really quite appropriate considering the weather.
I saw my picture with Frosty on the internet.
Yes, we have a picture of Mr. Chairman and Frosty and the children that gathered around, you know, because they're all so attracted to Mr. Chairman.
Politically.
Had nothing to do with Frosty. Nope, they all wanted your picture.
It was a great day. It's just unfortunate that the roads were so bad.
Yeah, and you know there were a number of businesses too that were very generous in their contributions, and some businesses, you know, the local businesses were very generous. But I also noticed that they managed to rally up a donation from the American Girl Doll Company, which was a very popular item. There were children just stuffing tickets into that bag, hoping to win the American Girl doll. So I don't know who won it, but I know it wasn't my daughter.
They also had a bunch of our local businesses just contribute, you know, funds for they with no publicity whatsoever, no listening. There was at least 10 or 15 doing that as well, which I thought was quite nice. Just a straight donation.
Yeah.
We had about 10 to 15 local businesses contribute straight donations with no advertising and just did it for themselves, for the public there.
Yeah, and I think that my dad's company printed up the golf things again. He's also out of town. It's nice to see, you know, the local businesses and businesses from out of town contribute to this great cause. It's good to see that. They have a pretty loyal following for the mini golf now, so it's exciting. So thank you to all the people that put it together. Thank you to all the businesses that contributed through sponsoring holes, making donations. There were food donations, too. Those chocolates came from Dorothy Cox, who's moved over to the industrial park from Fairhaven. So
I did enjoy some of that.
that was, I know you ate mine, too. Anyways, motion to adjourn?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for coming. And we'll see you next week.